My thesis, titled The Italian Handicraft from Workshop to Factory, analyzes from the historical, economic and cultural point of view one of the made in Italy cornerstones, the handicraft sector. It aims at establishing if handicraft is going to disappear or if it will be able to follow the changes of Italian culture and traditions, famous in being secular and ever-changing at the same time. The origin of handicraft in the Italian peninsula is so ancient that we could have heard about it even during the Roman Empire. Nowadays, the Italian handicraft, having passed through several ages, industrial revolutions included, is radically changed. Artisans grew and evolved by abandoning the familiar owned shops and creating their first enterprises, and the rising demand of mass trade led to a fashion standardization of handicraft and its products. In recent years, Italian institutions approved the same laws for small-scale artisanal, non-artisanal enterprises and for those bigger, combining them and reducing the relevance of the handicraft sector. But despite this, handicraft is recovering not only its original flavor and creativity, but also its social and economic influence thanks to several institutional promotion initiatives for the sector and, above all, thanks to the passion of Italian artists and entrepreneurs such as Ferdinando Codognotto and Fabio Dori, which revolutionized the wooden handicraft standards. Analyzing the European handicraft in modern times, I wrote the classification of the 4 handicraft models in the EU. In particular, now I would like to draw the attention to the first model, which refers to Italy, and to the third one, which refers to Great Britain and Spain. The first model refers to France and Italy. It can be identified by combining the fundamental importance of the size threshold and the regulation which manages and defines this sector. The figure of the entrepreneur is not very important due to the lack of official training programs. The third model includes only the artistic handicraft. In Great Britain, which at the time of the drafting of the classification was part of the EU, the difference between craft sector and art sector is subtle, and it mainly refers to the product's quality and creativity. In this regard, the maker plays a fundamental role. A maker is a small businessman or a freelancer whose task is to create products falling under the high-quality artistic production, such as furniture and fabric. Particularly, makers have to meet 2 requirements. Their products have to be the result of their ideas and creativity, and they have to take the responsibility of the whole production process. In Great Britain, the production process has a strong artistic value. In fact, it is strictly linked to the art and cultural goods market, and it is considered as fine art. In the British social and economic sector, handicraft is considered a strategic branch by the government because it is seen as an engine that promotes a creative and innovative economy, thanks to its link with the art of creating. But, despite its great development potential, the artisan figure is affected by problems linked to its lack of identity, such as the consumer's difficulty in considering artisans as real artists or manufacturer entrepreneurs. In Spain, the situation of handicraft is pretty unique due to the lack of a standard definition of the sector as well as of a detailed legislation. As a matter of fact, the sector is totally irrelevant in the Spanish official analysis on productivity, so it keeps on being considered a phenomenon straddling folklore and the picturesque anecdote, as Pierluigi Ascani defined it. Yet, as it is written in the article 130.1 of the Spanish Constitution itself, handicraft is, for all intents and purposes, an economic sector of the country. The expertise on handicraft is in the hands of the Spanish autonomous communities themselves, whose task is to carry out regulations and promotion and development initiatives for the sector. Those who are responsible for these activities are gathered in associations and are committed to cooperate with local institutions for the development of regional regulations. In 1999, they start to carry out projects for the Spanish handicraft under programs such as the PIME initiative for the development of enterprise. Although the reputation of the handicraft in Spain is not so high, if we look at it from the Spanish artisanal enterprises point of view, which are mainly family-run craft micro-enterprises, they have grown constantly, becoming cornerstones of the Spanish economy. In conclusion, in the thesis, from every analyzed and taken into account points of view, from history to current affairs, from politics to master artisans, handicraft is centuries-old sector with deep cultural roots and great adaptability. All this is the proof that handicraft is not disappearing, even with lots of problems to face, but it is changing and adapting to our more and more frenetic and globalized lifestyles. It is changing to the rhythm of Italy's needs by accompanying it hand in hand, as it has always done and always will do, towards the future.